Chapter 34. What's next? When my eyes open, I see a ceiling I'm not familiar with. I turn my head to the right and see a beautiful view of water and a city. St. Tropez. I am covered to my neck with a comforter, but as I wiggle, I realize I'm still completely nude. I blink a few times, hearing nothing but peace and quiet. I slowly sit up, taking in the beauty of the room before heading toward the bathroom. I turn on the shower, letting the water warm before stepping in. I recall last night, my words, Malik's words, and as I stand there, I feel the essence of him slipping out of me. It's a new day, but where do we go from here? He told me a lot last night, but I still have questions. I feel like he gave me the worst of it, and nothing is deterring me from wanting him. Even though yesterday he was clearly on edge, his demeanor had shifted, guarded, almost uncertain. I only seen flashes of his vulnerability yesterday. First at the pier when he was holding me, in the hot tub when he was holding me against his chest, and in bed when he was inside of me. I dry off, I head to my luggage for my toiletries. I return to the bathroom to brush my teeth, wash my face, and blow dry my hair. Will I return to Nice today? Will he come with me? When I spoke to his mother yesterday, she smiled knowingly and passed the phone to Ari, who was having so much fun. Miss Lisa gave me a quick rundown of their day. She didn't mention her son, likely because Ari was in earshot, but she told me everything was great and to take all the time I needed. I sent a quick text to Miss Lisa, asking her to reach out if Ari needs me. I dress and go to find Malik. The house is completely quiet. I walk into the living room and stop, staring at the muscular back of a beautiful man. I could stare at him all day. There was a time I thought I would never see him again. I thank God for giving him another chance. Peace washes over me. I don't know what today brings, but I know we should be okay. I part my lips and say, my beloved is mine, and I'm his. He slowly turns to face me, his eyes softening instantly.
He feedeth among the lilies.
I smile softly as he walks toward me. I don't move. He stops in front of me, bringing his hand to my face to caress it. I close my eyes, taking in his touch. Oh, how he can undo me without sex. The first and only man to do it. The intimacy I share with him is something I don't think I'll ever find anywhere else. I open my eyes to find him still staring at me.
This week is all about you. You have 4 more days before you have to return to the States. You let me know when you want to return to Ma and Ari, okay?
My heart quickens. Ari and I return home on Saturday. It's only Monday. He said you return, not we. What is this? Is this not reconciliation? He must sense the shift in me because he slowly shakes his head.
You don't have to think about Saturday. Just take in what's now.
He pauses, looking down as if he's weighing his words.
I want to spend every day with you here if you allow me.
Okay, I reply. He smiles.
Let's be tourists today.
I take his hand. He takes me all over St. Tropez. It's interesting to see the city prepping for the busy season. He takes me to the Musée de la Gendarmerie du Cinéma to explore the town's pop culture history, then to a tour and wine tasting at Chateau Minity. Malik talks about these places like a professional tour guide, and I soak it up. We don't mention anything heavy or about the past. We stay in the now, as he requested. He then takes me to the Sentier du Littoral, the famous coastal path. By the end of our stroll, I am pooped and drowsy. He notices my jet lag and insists we head home after grabbing dinner. We are quiet on the ride, but his hand never leaves mine. I vaguely remember him leaving the car to grab our dinner. I don't even recall the ride home. When we return, he brushes my face to wake me. We enter the house, and I go straight to the bathroom. I return to the kitchen to find the food already plated. I sit at the bar and take a sip of wine, waiting for him. I glance over my shoulder and see him across the room, staring at me, his face unreadable. He approaches and sits next to me, openly reading my face. The mood has shifted. He leans in and kisses my cheek, lingering there, and I feel him inhale deeply, taking my scent in. He pulls back just a fraction and says,
I am not above begging. Tell me what you need.
I swallow hard. I need to know why he avoided the past all day. I need to know why he mentioned me returning to the States alone. I need to know why he spoke as if we don't exist after this week. I don't say it out loud, but he shakes his head, pulling back to get a better view of my face. His eyes are penetrating.
Don't hold back from me. What do you need?
What am I? He furrows his brow, so I clarify. What am I to you?
The love of my life.
He says as if it's a no-brainer. I nod. You mentioned nothing today about what we talked about last night. He nods.
Today is a new day, and I thought we covered a lot last night. I don't want every day you're with me to feel heavy.
I can take that. Something you said bothered me.
What was that?
You said I return back to the States. Where will you be? He doesn't answer immediately. I see his wheels turning. And then he says,
I'll be here waiting for you to tell me where home is.
I stare at him. You're not coming with me?
I'm a dead man, Jay. No, I won't be coming with you.
But you're here.
Yes, I'm here. And I'll be wherever you need me, just not the United States.
I nod and turn my attention to my plate, picking up my fork. He mimics my action. We eat in a comfortable silence. When we finish, I ask, who are you now? What's your name? His eyes soften.
Lee Cox.
Lee, simple. I like it. It keeps me from slipping up too badly. He smiles softly.
Exactly.
I can't take my eyes off him. He looks better than he did yesterday.
What else do you need from me, baby? If there's something in the past you want to talk about, we can talk about it. You want clarification on our future, just tell me.
I catch how he stresses the word our. He senses I need reassurance. I want to spend every day with you and only you until I leave. I wish you could come with me, but I understand your resistance. I pause. When school is over, what do we do?
We do whatever you want.
He says intensely.
Jay, you would be leaving your current life to be with me? I don't take that lightly. We have Ari to think about. You want to live in London? We can do that. Want to stay in France? Sure. You want to return to Guyana? Fine. We can plant roots wherever you want. I live under an alias and I could return to the States, but I just don't feel comfortable anymore. I don't feel confident I could protect myself there. And how can I feel confident to protect a family if I don't feel confident myself? It just can't be the States.
I needed to hear that. I appreciate his honesty and vulnerability. I understand.
Go relax. I'll clean this up.
I go to the sofa and recline, watching him wash the plates. A calmness washes over me. I fight to keep my eyes open, but suddenly I feel him lifting me up. He carries me into the room and sits me on the bed. He lifts my shirt over my head, unclips my bra, and places his hand on the clasp of my pants. I help by lifting slightly. He takes his time pulling them down, then pulls the comforter back.
Get under.
I do as he says. He strips down to his boxers. I'm in nothing but my lace panties. He crawls in behind me, holding me in a fetal position, and pulls the comforter above us both. I close my eyes. I can't fight the drowsiness anymore, and the heat of his body acts as natural melatonin. I don't even remember falling asleep. Chapter 35. I can't go. This week, without a single doubt, it was one of the best weeks of my entire life. It ranked right behind the day I gave birth to Ari. The sheer amount of love poured into me this week was unlike anything I had ever experienced during our actual time living together in the past. After that first heavy, confession-filled night, the rest of our days together had felt incredibly light and airy. We stayed up late talking about everything under the moon. Food, sports, politics, and a laundry list of countries I've never even been to, though he promised he would take me to every single one. We mapped out our future, discussing where I might potentially want us to live when the time came. We even jogged together in the mornings, simply because he had read a journal entry I'd written to him months ago mentioning that running had become a newfound hobby of mine. He found it ironic because running had become a ritual for him as well since he battled insomnia. We swam in the pristine water. He fed me, and I fed him. And we made love, slow, deep, and healing. But reality has a cruel way of keeping time. In less than 18 hours, Ari and I would be boarding a flight back to the United States. Even though I knew this was always the plan, I felt like a heartbroken kid being dragged out of Disney World. I just didn't feel like I could actually do it. My mind was frantically spinning, trying to construct impossible ways to get Ari and me out of our last 6 weeks of the school semester. Standing in front of the bathroom mirror, I double-checked to make sure all my toiletries were packed. A single silent tear spilled over my lashes and tracked down my cheek. I was wearing a black button-up shirt and dark jeans, a somber uniform that perfectly matched my current mood. From the bedroom, I heard Leek's voice approaching. He was on the phone with someone, likely one of Philippe's crew members, asking if they were ready for us at the marina. When he pushed the door open and caught sight of my face, his eyebrows instantly pulled into a deep frown. He was dressed to match me, wearing a black button-up of his own and fitted black jeans. He hurriedly ended the call, shoving his phone into his pocket, and was in front of me in a matter of seconds.
Baby, what's wrong?
I can't, I whispered, my voice cracking as I looked up at him. I can't do it. I can't go. He didn't hesitate, wrapping his strong arms around me and pulling me tightly against his chest.
Yes, you can.
He murmured into my hair, his voice a steady anchor.
It's only temporary, Jay. You'll be back here in 6 weeks. The time's going to fly. You know, we'll talk daily. You're going to see my face every single day.
I'm going to miss your birthday again, I choked out, the realization aching in my chest. He pulled back just enough to look down at me, his thumbs gently wiping the tears from my cheeks. He rested his forehead against mine, his breath warm.
Every single day you gave me this week was my birthday.
The sweetness of his voice washes over me.
They're ready for us.
He added softly. I swallowed hard and nodded. Reaching over to the bathroom vanity, I grabbed my toiletries bag, zipped it shut, and dropped it into my open luggage. He didn't let me lift a finger. He swept up my bags and headed out to the car while I followed closely behind him. The car ride to the yacht was entirely silent, but his hand never left mine, his fingers laced securely through my own. I looked out the window, desperately soaking in the passing scenery of St. Tropez for the last time. I had spent days in a beautiful paradise-like place with an incredibly beautiful man, and letting go felt like tearing skin. When the car finally pulled up to the marina entrance, right where we needed to walk down to the dock for Philippe's yacht, a heavy blanket of misery settled over me again. Leek climbed out, walked around the hood, and opened the passenger door for me. I stepped out onto the pavement, my expression completely downcast. He grabbed my bags from the trunk, walked back over to me, and paused, studying my tragic expression.
Fix your face, Jay.
He said, a sudden spark of playfulness in his eyes.
You're way too pretty to be looking like that.
I frowned deeply at the remark, but he just countered it by winking at me, a lazy smirk playing on his lips as he tried to lighten the suffocating mood. If you don't like my face, then fix it for me, I retorted. His eyes immediately dropped to my lips before snapping back up to meet my gaze. The playful smirk vanished, replaced by a sudden, intense heat. He stepped directly into my personal space, dropping the bags, and brought both of his warm hands up to frame my face. Then he kissed me. He didn't just press his lips to mine. He parted my mouth with his tongue, turning it into a deep, bruisingly passionate kiss. I met his tongue with my own, completely losing myself in him. Dopamine, pure, unadulterated dopamine flooded my system. His lips, the slide of his tongue, the heavy weight of his hands on my face. It gave me such a sudden rush that I literally forgot I had been on the verge of a breakdown over boarding a boat. When he finally started to pull back, I wasn't remotely ready to let him go. I leaned forward, chasing his mouth, intentionally licking his lips. Him opening up for me and letting me take charge of the kiss for a moment. As I pressed closer, I felt the unmistakable ridge of his hardness pressing firmly against my thigh. A thrill of triumph shot through me, matching the sudden aching dampness in my own underwear. I was the one to pull away this time, breathing heavily. Leek's pupils were completely blown, making his eyes look dark as he glanced quickly to the left and right of the semi-public dock.
You're lucky we don't have time for me to bend your ass over right now,
he says under his breath. A genuine smirk finally broke across my face.
There's my girl.
He murmured, his own smile returning.
Face fixed just the way I like it.
I looked at the towering vessel and then looked back at him. I have never been a begging woman in my entire life, but in that moment I wanted nothing more than to drop to my knees and insist that he get on the boat with me and return to Nice. As if he could read the dangerous direction of my thoughts, he squeezed my hand tightly.
You said you're not ready for Ari to see me yet. Remember? She wouldn't understand why she will be seeing me today, only for y'all to turn around tomorrow morning and leave me.
He was entirely right. Earlier in the week, he had asked me honestly if I wanted him to see Ari an hour later. I had chosen later, knowing the emotional whiplash of leaving him would be too confusing and devastating for a little girl to process right before a transatlantic flight. I nodded, swallowing my pride. I know. We kissed one last time. A sweet, lingering promise. My eyes began to water again, eliciting a low groan of shared pain from him. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw a gentleman from Philippe's crew walking down the ramp to greet me and take my bags.
I love you beyond your comprehension.
Leek said, his voice thick with raw emotion as he let go of my hand.
Get on the boat, love.
I love you too, I whispered. The crew member offered a polite greeting, taking my bags from Leek, and I stepped onto the yacht. I could feel Leek's eyes burning into my back the entire time. I walked further onto the deck, making my way to my designated seat. The moment I sat down, I tightly closed my eyes, fighting with everything in me to keep from sobbing out loud. Rose approached a moment later, gently setting down a glass of water and asking if I needed anything else to eat or drink. I simply shook my head no. I didn't want food. I didn't want a drink. I just wanted the end of May to get here as fast as humanly possible. I rested my head back against the seat, and before I knew it, the deep drum of the yacht's engine came to life beneath me, pulling me away from St. Tropez. The next afternoon, Miss Lisa dropped Ari and me off at the airport. Philippe had urgent business to attend to, so it was just the three of us. Before we headed toward the terminal, Miss Lisa pulled me into a massive rib-crushing hug. She leaned in close, whispering directly into my ear.
You two will be back before you even know it, Jada. I love you.
When she had picked me up from the yacht dock yesterday afternoon, she hadn't mentioned her son once, and I hadn't brought him up either. I was certain my bloodshot, exhausted eyes told her everything she needed to know, mainly that I would completely dissolve into tears if we spoke about him. I was also entirely sure that she and Leek had shared a phone call while I was on my journey back to Nice. She leaned down, showering Ari with hugs and kisses, and then we finally made our way into the bustling airport terminal. Once our bags were checked and tagged, it was time to face the inevitable, the security line. The moment we neared the ropes, the dam broke, and the tears finally began to fall freely down my face. Ari looked up at me, her wide, innocent eyes full of sudden concern.
Mommy, what's wrong? Why are you crying?
I'm just sad we have to leave Pumpkin, I said, wiping at my eyes as my voice trembled. I really, really want to stay here. She looked at me with that beautiful, unbothered childhood innocence.
Don't cry, Mommy. Nana Lisa said we're gonna see her again as soon as school ends. I can't wait.
I took a deep breath, wiping my face firmly with the back of my hand for my baby's sake. If she could be strong and excited for the future, I needed to be too. I forced a weak but determined smile onto my face, squeezing her little hand. You're right, baby. I can't wait either. And with that, we stepped into the security line, counting down the final 6 weeks until we could finally come home. Chapter 36, Guyana. It had been exactly 6 weeks and 4 days since I boarded that flight leaving France, escaping a life that felt like it had been permanently on pause. True to his word, Malik had called me daily. Hell, we talked 4 or 5 times a day, keeping the thread between us tightly wound no matter the distance. 2 weeks ago, while I was in the shower, Ari answered my phone and saw his face by video call. He didn't hang up. Instead, he stayed on the line with her for an hour, navigating the conversation beautifully. He explained to her that he had a very dangerous job, like a police officer, and that people accidentally thought he was dead. Thank God she's only 7 and completely sheltered. She took it entirely at face value. I had finished my finals and wrapped up my second semester of classes almost 2 weeks ago, but Ari's last day of school was only 3 days ago. The second her summer break officially started, I packed us enough clothes to last 2 weeks anywhere in the world, zipped the bags, and didn't look back. Even then, I had no clue where our final destination would be. It wasn't until yesterday morning that I found out we were actually heading to Guyana. Malik called and said simply, "Head to the airport. Y'all flight leave at 5 o'clock. We're meeting in Georgetown." Ooh, the welcoming I received when we finally touched down. Malik was there to pick us up alone, looking so good it made my chest ache. Despite everything, he knew his way around Georgetown like a local, navigating straight to my cousin's place. When we arrived, it turned out he'd already been in the country for a week plotting this exact moment. My mother, my aunts, my cousins, and all their children were packed into the house. They had thrown together a massive, vibrant welcome home party. The energy was infectious. I ate, I laughed, and eventually the music got deep into my bones. I started to wind up on Malik, causing him to blush furiously. For one, the man is absolutely not a dancer. And two, we had a massive audience of my entire extended family. I had never seen him blush like that in my life. I cried happy tears with my cousins, laughing till my stomach hurt, and I wind up some more whipping my waist-length blonde knotless braids over my shoulders. Standing there in the warmth of South American air, surrounded by family, I realized I never knew this was exactly what my heart had been starving for.
This is for Laurie. Try it. Jada can't cook this.
Folari is not hard to make. Stop it, I joke. By 2 in the morning, one of my cousins took over DJing the music and I was tired from dancing. I was sitting comfortably on his lap, sniffing his face. "How long are we here for?" I whispered, tracing the hard line of his jaw with my nose. He shrugged, his eyes locked onto mine.
You tell me, baby.
I leaned over and tongued him down right there in the open air. No one was paying us any mind, but even if they were, I honestly didn't care. When I finally pulled back, breathless, his expression had shifted into something incredibly intense.
Marry me, Jay.
My breathing halted, my head tilted as if I didn't hear him correctly. I stared into his eyes and he stared back into mine, completely unwavering. Tears slowly began to prick the corners of my eyes.
Stand up so I can get on my knee for you.
He murmured, his voice dropping an octave. My eyes bucked. "You better not." He chuckled, a low, rumbling sound against my chest. He knew damn well I was far too shy for a massive public proposal.
Nah, let me get on my knees.
He teased, shifting his weight. No knees. I laughed through a sudden sob. But yes, I'll marry you. Malik's eyes furrowed. The teasing vanished instantly, replaced by a raw, transparent emotion that made my heart flutter. I'll marry you. I'll marry you. I'll marry you, I repeated, making sure he heard it. I felt him adjust me on his lap, his hand dipping into his pocket to pull out a small velvet box. The tears I had been fighting so hard to hold back spilled over completely. He opened it, and the air was entirely released out of my lungs. It was a flawless princess-cut diamond flanked by a glittering diamond band. He pulled the ring from the velvet and whispered,
Give me your hand.
Right at that exact second, I realized someone has been paying attention to us. 3 of my cousins, Nia, Monet, and Shauna, had been watching from the porch.
He did it. He did it. He did it. He did it.
Then came the screaming. I didn't even look to see who was making all the noise. All I could see was the beautiful man in front of me, the flashes of phone cameras catching in my peripheral vision as I grabbed his face and pulled him into a deep kiss. Right now, we were supposed to be getting dressed. One of my male cousins, Ty, was due to pick us up any minute to take us to a birthday party for one of his friends, but the trajectory of our night changed the moment I stepped out of the steam. I had just gotten out of the shower and was sitting on the edge of the bed, smoothly oiling my skin, when Malik walked out of the bathroom completely naked. Not a stitch of clothing, not even a towel wrapped around his waist. His dick was solid and rock hard, and the mere sight of him caused my body to involuntarily clench. He walked over in total silence, pushing me back against the edge of the mattress. With a slow movement, he parted the towel wrapped around my torso, leaving me completely bare beneath his gaze. Don't start, I complained, though my voice lacked any real conviction. We just showered. He raised an eyebrow, ignoring my protest entirely. He reached down, taking his thumb and pressing it firmly against my clit, dragging it upward in a slow, agonizingly perfect stroke.
You gonna deny me, baby?
I jerked instantly at the contact. In response, his thumb pressed harder, swirling in a tight, heavy circular motion. He knew damn well I couldn't deny him. His eyes traveled from my flushed face down to his hand, a dark smirk playing on his lips.
Look how wet she is for me. So beautiful.
I let out a low moan. Suddenly, he stopped abruptly, removing his thumb from my clit entirely. He brought his wet fingers up to my lips, and I parted them instantly, helpless to his touch. He pushed his thumb into my mouth, heavily massaging my tongue with the pad of his thumb. My walls clenched again in sync with the rhythm of his hand.
Yes, suck me in.
Slowly, he withdrew his thumb and replaced it with 2 fingers, pushing deeper until they nearly touched my tonsils. I gagged slightly against the thickness of his hand, so he pulled back just a fraction, but kept them firmly inside, pressing down on my tongue. I never took my eyes off his. It was as if the shallow sound of me gagging and the sight of me stretched around his fingers caused his pupils to completely blow.
Marry me tomorrow.
I automatically stopped sucking. He slowly pulled his fingers from my mouth, leaving my lips wet and parted. My eyes watered, a sudden wave of shock hitting me. I was completely speechless. Tomorrow? How? I didn't have a dress. What would Ari wear? How could we possibly organize a wedding in less than 24 hours? He knew I would want a small wedding, right?
Just say yes.
He urged, reading the questions on my face.
I'll take care of everything.
I was still reeling. How was he going to pull this off? Will it just be the 2 of us?
Please.
He added, his voice dropping to a vulnerable whisper. Of course. Yes. I nodded, tears sliding freely in my braids now. He leaned forward, tenderly kissing the trail of tears dampening my temples. Then his hand dipped low again. Without a word of warning, he took 3 of his fingers and slid them deep inside of me. Looking down, I could see his fingers buried inside me up to the knuckle, thoroughly soaked in my own heat. A sudden flush of embarrassment hit me at how quickly my body had given in, how wet I already was for him. Malik caught my chin, gently guiding my head back up, so I was forced to look at him.
That is such a beautiful sight, my baby.
He pulled his fingers out, using the slickness of my juices to stroke his own length a few times. Then, leaning forward, he gripped my hips and dragged my ass right to the very edge of the bed. I gasped at the sudden friction. Staring straight down into my eyes, he braced himself and eased his head inside, slowly pushing until he filled me completely. Oh, God, I whispered, my hands gripping the sheets. He pulled out just as slowly as he had pushed in, stretching me to the limit.
Goddamn.
He grunted, the friction clearly driving him crazy too. He pushed back inside and started fucking me. It wasn't a frantic, fast pace, nor was it slow. It was a rhythmic, deep grind. We kept our eyes locked onto each other the entire time. His eyebrows were scrunched tight with concentration, his bottom lip pulled firmly between his teeth. The specific angle he had my body positioned gave him perfect leverage, forcing his shaft to rub hard against my G-spot with every single thrust.
I've missed you so much. Look how good you're taking me.
God, his fucking voice. The deep, gravelly tone of it made me lose my mind. My muscles clamped down on him like a vice.
Shit. Yes. Grip me like that again, baby.
My body was rapidly creeping to the top of my peak, preparing for the sudden violent drop. He knew exactly what he was doing. My clit was growing entirely too sensitive as his pelvis bumped against it with every stroke. I arched my back, leaning into the pressure as much as I could. He leaned down, nibbling on my earlobe while he continued to stroke inside me. His low grunts and heavy groans were absolute music to my ears.
I'm going to nut so deep inside of you.
He whispered darkly against my ear.
You want to feel my nut inside of you.
Yes, I hissed, my stomach quivering violently as the climax rushed the gates. Leak. I'm gonna.
Do it.
He grunts, his pace fracturing into hard, fast thrusts.
Yeah, let me get that.
My body started to shake uncontrollably, the orgasm fracturing through my spine. Egg, I choked out, my hands flying to his shoulders. He rocked heavily against me, riding out the waves of my release. My mouth was so dry that I couldn't even form another sound. He was still pumping, driving himself into my clenching walls.
You feel that?
His voice strained to the breaking point. I could only nod against the pillow. Suddenly, his dick jumped violently inside of me, releasing long, warm spurts deep against my cervix. It felt like an endless wave of heat flooding my core. He'd drown me if I even attempted to swallow that. He finally stopped thrusting, buried as deeply as possible, sitting perfectly still inside of me while his chest heaved for air. His eyes never left mine. I reached up, wrapping my arms tightly around his neck to pull him down against my chest. I don't want to go out tonight anymore, I told him, completely exhausted. I just want to stay right here, wake up and tomorrow be here. Malik smiled down at me, his eyes filled with a profound, quiet warmth as he kissed my forehead. Chapter 37, Surprise. I opened my eyes to the sound of footsteps, solid steps, but not Malik's. He had rented a house for us here in GT, and up until last night, it had been just him, Ari, and me. Ari wasn't even supposed to be here this morning because Malik and I had planned to go out with my cousin last night. The bedroom door swung open, and Shauna walked in, trailing Ari right behind her.
Get up, gal, get up.
Shauna shouted, her energy already at a 10.
We got a long day ahead of us.
I couldn't help but smile, shifting my weight to sit up against the headboard. Ari ran straight over to the bed, throwing her little arms around my neck for a quick, fierce hug before she turned around and bolted back out of the room to play. Shauna watched her go, then turned her sharp eyes back to me, a knowing smirk on her face.
Go shower your ass. I know you been fucking. We got to go buy your husband a ring, nah.
My cheeks burned, but the smile stayed locked on my face. Shut up, Sean.
Hurry up, nah.
She teased, throwing her hands in the air as she backed out of the room. I scrambled out of bed, hurried into the shower, and handled the rest of my morning hygiene. When I walked back into the bedroom, wiping the steam from my eyes, I noticed one of my favorite pink sundresses already laid out neatly across the mattress. I oiled my skin, slid the fabric down over my hips, and walked out into the living room. Shauna and our girls were sitting together on the couch, but the space felt entirely too quiet. I looked around, scanning the kitchen and the hallway. Where's Leek? Shauna's smirk widened.
Don't mind that man. He gone. You won't see him until it's time to say I do.
My eyes went wide, panic instantly fluttering in my chest. What? What about my hair? My makeup? Dress? Will you be there? What about Ari?
Girl.
Shauna cut me off, waving a hand to dismiss my spiraling.
Everything is taken care of. Just do what I say. Go grab your purse. Let's go pick him up a ring.
She turned and threw open the front door. The girls went running out past her, their laughter echoing down the steps. I rushed back to grab my dainty Coach purse from the counter. The moment I lifted it, it felt significantly heavier than usual. I would know. I usually don't carry a single thing in it besides my wallet and a tube of lip gloss. Curious, I unzipped the main compartment and found a thick, unmarked white envelope resting inside. I pulled it open. It was packed with cash. A soft, breathless smile caught in my throat. I hurriedly zipped the purse back up, tucked it under my arm, and headed outside to find them already waiting for me in the running car. We rode through the streets of Georgetown to God knows where, Shauna absolutely blasting lyrical through the speakers while the girls danced in the back seat. Before I could even ask where we were going, the car pulled up and idled in front of Shiv Jewelry. This place wasn't here the last time I was home, I told her, squinting through the window as we stepped out into the thick heat.
You remember Auntie Donna's husband, Nigel?
Shauna asked, guiding me toward the entrance by my elbow.
These are his people. They moved back home from Canada. Real good people, nice gold.
The moment we walked inside, the cool blast of the air conditioning hit us, and we were warmly greeted by the owner. An older Indian man with kind eyes. Before I could even open my mouth to explain why we were there, Shauna opened her big-ass mouth instead.
Money is not a problem,
she announced to the entire showroom.
I need the best you got for my cousin.
The man's eyes lit up instantly, and he got to moving, scurrying behind the glass display cases to pull out his finest velvet trays. I sucked my teeth, nudging her hard in the ribs. Shauna just rolled her eyes.
What you sucking your teeth for? My cousin need the best Guyana gold he can get.
I looked down at the glittering rows of heavy yellow bands, reality suddenly sinking in. Sean, I don't even know his size.
11.
She answered smoothly, not even looking up from a thick gold band she was inspecting.
I asked him.
I smirked at her, completely defeated. I'll be damned. It took me an hour of agonizing over the trays to finally make a decision. The entire time, I had to keep reminding myself that Malik had given me absolutely no time to ponder what I wanted his wedding band to look like. He had just dropped a less than 24-hour deadline on my lap. If he doesn't like this one, I reasoned, staring at the classic heavy gold ring in my palm, I'll just replace it later. After leaving the jewelry store, Shauna drove us straight over to Fire Grill and Chill. I had never been there before, but my cousin had been insisting for days that I try their food, so we made sure we were standing by the entrance the second they opened their doors for the lunch rush. We took our seats at a quiet table, and the second my fingers were free, I pulled out my phone. I couldn't help it. I missed his face already. I dialed his number, and Malik answered the video call on the very second ring. My face split into an instant smile the second his image cleared on the screen. He was sitting in a chair, and I could see the sharp metal of clippers moving along the side of his head. Where are you? I asked, leaning into the camera.
Hell if I know.
Malik laughed, his deep voice muffled slightly by the noise in the background.
Ty got me getting my hair cut.
I see. When am I going to see you? He smiled back at me warmly through the screen, his eyes dancing with a secret he wasn't willing to share just yet.
At the destination. Y'all don't be late.
In the background of his call, I could hear Ty yelling over some music, followed by a chorus of men laughing. About the destination, I started shifting my gaze over to Shauna, who was now busy on her own phone. Do we have to go get Ari in my dress? Before Shauna could even hang up to answer me, Malik spoke directly into his phone, pulling my attention right back to him.
You and Ari already have a dress.
He said, his voice entirely too nonchalant for a man getting married in a few hours.
Just follow Sean's instructions. She knows what to do.
The barber cutting Malik's hair gently tilted his head to the side, forcing him to break eye contact with the camera for a split second. He cleared his throat, his eyes flicking back to the screen.
Let me go, baby. You'll see me in a few hours. Love you.
I love you too. The screen went black. We ordered our food, and the moment the waiter walked away, Shauna leaned across the table to lay out the blueprint for the rest of our day.
We leave here, we get you and Ari changed.
She said, ticking the items off on her fingers.
Thank God y'all in braids, so no hair to worry about. Then I do your makeup, I got to shower and change myself, and then we head to the airport.
I arched an eyebrow, my fork pausing halfway to my mouth. Airport?
Real short flight.
She said, giving me a wicked wink as she took a slow sip of her drink.
We staying in Guyana.
Is it just us and the kids?
Let the man surprise you, nah?
Shauna laughed, shaking her head.
You got you a good man, Jada, and with money, I can't wait for you to see this shit.
I smiled back at her, feeling a sudden, heavy heat creep up my neck. I took a deep, steadying breath, my stomach doing backflips as the anxiety and excitement of how the rest of this day was going to pan out finally began to take over. The second we finished lunch, we flew back to the house. I hurried through another shower, and the moment I stepped back into the bedroom, Shauna finally revealed the dresses. I stopped dead in the doorway, my hand flying over my mouth. Ari's dress was a dream. A classic white, matte satin dress. It features a scoop neckline, a V back with a bow tie, and a pleated A-line skirt. But my dress was breathtaking. I couldn't breathe as I stared at it hanging on the delicate hanger. I couldn't believe he had chosen something so perfectly tailored to my taste, something I would have spent months searching for myself. It was a floor-length heavy crepe wedding gown with a sweeping train, a sleek sheath silhouette with intricate pleating at the waist, and delicate spaghetti straps that held up an embellished V-neck bust with a soft cowl overlay. The back was completely open, featuring two long, elegant tails cascading off the straps, finished with a line of decorative buttons running all the way down the spine. The moment the fabric settled against my skin and Shauna zipped it up, the tears came. I was boohoo crying right into the mirror. Who helped him with this? I sobbed, tracing the embellishments on the bust.
Not me, maybe Nia.
Shauna yelled, swatting at my hands as she grabbed her makeup kit.
Stop crying so I can do your makeup.
I dabbed my cheeks with the back of my fingers.
You know he had all this planned before he even came to Guyana? Heard him talking to your mama? He knew since y'all left France he was marrying you here?
She draped a massive white sheet around my shoulders to protect my dress and immediately began lightly beating my face. I insisted she keep it simple. With the heavy Guyana heat and my emotions already on the surface, I knew a full face of heavy makeup wouldn't survive the afternoon. I told her I wanted my hair to remain down, letting my blonde braids fall naturally over the open back of the gown. How are we even going to keep this dress clean on a flight? I asked, looking down at the train gathering on the floor.
We pinning it up at the bottom and we are covering you up real good.
Shauna instructed, bending down with a handful of safety pins.
And you need to wear flats. All of us are. Where we going is not good for heels.
I nodded, letting go of the control. I wasn't going to worry about a single thing anymore. They clearly had this entire day mapped out to the millimeter. I just needed to stand still and take in the moment. True to her word, Shauna wrapped me up from shoulders to ankles in what felt like a massive silky white sheet, completely obscuring the wedding gown beneath. When we arrived at the airport, my breath caught as I saw a small private charter plane idling on the tarmac. It was just me, Ari, Shauna, and her two girls walking out toward the steps with an escort. But the second I stepped through the cabin door, a massive wave of surprise smacked me right in the face. My mama, three of my aunties, Nia and Monet, were all sitting in the leather seats, smiling brightly up at me. My jaw dropped as I realized every single one of them was dressed in a different, stunning shade of green. Only Ari and I was in white. I blinked back a fresh set of tears, moving down the narrow aisle to kiss each of them on the cheek. I took my seat next to Ari, buckled my seatbelt, and forced myself to take slow, measured breaths through my nose to keep from ruining Shauna's makeup work. The entire cabin was alive with noise, everyone talking over each other and laughing at my expression.
I can't wait to see this set up.
Nia cheered.
Even I don't know how he pulled it off.
My mama added, shaking her head in disbelief.
He's so handsome. A good man.
One of my aunts leaned across the aisle, a huge grin on her face.
He showed me the wedding band. No crying now. Just take in all your blessings.
They did all the talking, and I just sat there doing the listening, my heart swelling so large it felt tight against my ribs. I tuned out the chatter around the 40-minute mark of the flight when I looked out the window and saw a massive roaring waterfall cutting through the endless green canopy below us. 5 minutes later, the plane's tires touched down on a remote landing strip. As we exited the aircraft, a shuttle bus was already waiting on the asphalt to collect us. The air out here felt different, rarer, wilder. As the bus bumped along the dirt road, I could distinctly hear my aunts in the row behind me gossiping about the menu for the reception, one of them mentioning it was being catered by a close friend of hers. The van finally came to a smooth stop. The driver rounded the side, opening the doors and carefully assisting my aunts, my mama, my cousins, and the children off the bus before he turned to me. He offered me a steady hand, helping me navigate the steps in my long cover-up. The moment my feet hit the ground, Shauna stepped forward, looking at the rest of the family.
Leave us here. He is waiting for y'all.
They didn't need to be told twice. They hurried down the path ahead of us. Shauna adjusted a small backpack onto her shoulders and began unfastening the massive white sheet covering my dress, handing the fabric back to the shuttle driver.
I'll unpin the train as we get closer.
I nodded, completely speechless. She linked her elbow firmly with mine, and we began walking side by side down a narrow trail surrounded by dense, towering trees. We walked for about 5 minutes in the quiet of the jungle before Shauna suddenly stopped. She bent down, her fingers working quickly to remove the safety pins, causing the heavy creep train to cascade down and pool around my feet in full, dramatic splendor. She dropped the pins into her backpack, stood up, and looked me dead in the eyes with a soft smile.
This is where I leave you.
She whispered, her voice cracking just a little.
Don't move. When you hear the music play, you start walking in the direction you see me going, okay?
I could only nod, my throat entirely too tight for words as I fought back the tears threatening to spill. She gave my hand one last squeeze and walked away, disappearing around a bend in the trail. I stood there entirely alone, surrounded by nothing but the towering green trees of the Guyanese jungle. I took deep, calming breaths, my fingers twitching against my sides because I had nothing to keep my hands busy. Shauna had taken my phone back on the plane. 5 minutes passed in absolute silence, and then I heard it. Music echoed through the trees. I took a breath and began walking in the exact direction I had watched Shauna vanish. The path was lined with ancient jungle, but with every step I took, the sound of a piano grew louder, vibrating through the soles of my shoes. The trees began to thin out, the sunset breaking through the canopy, and the moment I cleared the jungle line, my breath was completely stolen from my lungs. And there they all were, at least 20 people, my family, our family. Everyone standing in beautiful, cascading shades of green, lining an aisle that led to the edge of the earth, and standing at the very end of that aisle, dressed in a sharp, immaculate all-white, was Malik. Behind him, the colossal, roaring majesty of Kayatir Falls thundered down into the gorge, sending a massive cloud of mist into the air like a halo. My hand instantly flew up to my mouth, and every single tear I had been holding back finally spilled over my lashes. The crowd erupted into clapping the moment they saw me. Through the blur of my tears, I saw Nia wave her hand, gesturing for me to keep moving, to keep walking toward him. When I reached the very last row of seats, Nia's boyfriend stepped forward, gently handing me a beautiful all-white bouquet of flowers. I took it, my fingers gripping the stems as I locked eyes with the man at the altar. As I walked toward Malik, his gaze never wavered from mine. From a distance, it looked like he was holding his composure together by a thread. But when I got about 20 feet away, I saw the exact moment of his surrender. Malik closed his eyes, his broad shoulders dropping, and a single tear fell down his cheek. He didn't even lift a hand to wipe them away. I glanced quickly to my left, my eyes catching his mother, standing next to Philippe, her weeping openly. Next to them stood Tasha and Sean. A sharp, Breathless yelp escaped my lips at the sight of them, and my eyes flew right back to Malik's face. I picked up my pace, the creep of my dress trailing over the ground, and the second I was within arm's reach, he reached out and grabbed my hand. I threw my arms around his neck, pulling myself against him fiercely as my tears flowed. My face buried in the crook of his neck, the sound of the wedding music faded, replaced entirely by the deep thundering roar of the waterfall right beside us. We stayed locked in that embrace for God knows how long, neither of us willing to let go. Holding him here, at the edge of the world, a sudden rush of memories flashed through my mind. For everything we had been through to get to this spot, I would gladly go through every single second of it again just to make it to this exact moment. My mind flicked back to the very first day I met him in my clinic, seeing his hand gashed open. The way he had stubbornly insisted on fixing my car himself. Seeing him again under the dim lights of his lounge. The night I had fallen asleep in the front seat of his car. The way he had simply taken me in, protecting me. The way he used to speak life into my soul in the dead of the night when the world felt too heavy. Our long book talks, the quiet breakfasts, the intense lovemaking, the heartbreaking argument, and our fierce, undeniable reunion. I buried my face deeper into the crook of his neck, completely forgetting that Shauna had spent an hour doing my makeup. After a long moment, I pulled back just enough to glance at his shoulder, letting out a wet laugh when I saw the white fabric was miraculously clean. I looked up into his beautiful eyes, my heart completely at peace, and smiled. Malik looked back down at me, the corners of his mouth lifting in that familiar smile I love as he squeezed my hands. My soul is home, I whispered over the roar of the falls. Malik swallowed hard, his throat bobbing.
Our souls are home. Epilogue.
That's great, Leek. I have to bring my family back to visit y'all this summer. Carol will take any chance she gets to get back by y'all. I'll bring the grandkids this time.
Of course. Just shoot me over the dates and I'll block out the rooms for you. I'll hit you next week. I ended the call with my therapist, Ron. The same therapist that's been longtime friends with my mother and who used to visit me in prison. This time around has been completely different, though. Instead of him and my mother initiating therapy, I was the one that stepped up and did it this time. I knew I suffered from anxiety and insomnia, and while I knew I could self-medicate, I didn't want to start a habit that gets out of hand. Not when I've been given a second chance. So I reached out to Ron and caught him up on 5 years of my life. That's how long it's been since we last talked. I'm glad I did, because on top of the anxiety and insomnia, I realized I struggled with deep trust issues and grief. The trust part I totally understood, which is exactly why I chose him to help me navigate this next chapter of my life. He already knew my legal shenanigans. It wouldn't be entirely smart for me to start completely over with someone else and admit to crimes, some I'll never pay for. I took a deep breath looking around my office, feeling a rare wave of pride at how far I'd come. Then, like it always did, my mind drifted to my wife. In the very beginning, I always asked her if we needed to start doing joint sessions. I kept looking for cracks in our foundation, wondering if there was some heavy shit she was struggling with that I could help her carry. I always assumed she'd eventually buckle under the weight of it all. In such a short window of time, she'd had to deal with the wreckage left by me, Damon, and Rick. I killed her father and Damon, and then I played a part in faking my own death. I even braced myself for the inevitable fallout of the night I shared with Bree. I willingly confessed to it, too, because I'd vowed that this time around, there would be no omissions, no half-truths, and no secrets between us. But no. Jada's reaction was the exact polar opposite of the night we had our first explosive fight about her father and Damon. She told me that after our first night together in France, she took every heavy, messy thing I laid at her feet and chose to see it as nothing more than a small blip in the road. During our first year back together, I used to check in with her periodically, waiting for the other shoe to drop, waiting to see if her feelings had soured into resentment. She would just smile, look me dead in the eye, and say she'd forgiven it all. Now, her own therapy sessions were just a check-in status, pure maintenance as she calls it. I thank God daily for giving me a second chance at life and for giving me the woman and children I would die for. Shifting in my chair, I deleted the email that my cousin had forwarded me showing the grand opening of an auto shop in Pennsylvania that Rick just opened. He and I haven't spoken since the night I confronted him, and I'm okay with that. Not every relationship is supposed to last you a lifetime. I am working on forgiving him for myself, and I'm genuinely happy to hear he's doing okay mentally. The only people who even knew I was alive in the States were my cousins and Jada's friends, Tasha and Sean. I made Tasha and Sean sign NDAs before our wedding, and they've already visited us a handful of times out here. A sharp tap on my door breaks my train of thought. Kia, one of my front desk attendants, peeks her head in.
Lee, Jada's out cooking your babies. I know you don't know.
I glance up at her, my face settling into an amused what-the-fuck smirk. Cooking my babies.
She's been out there baking for at least 2 hours. I thought you said she was on bed rest.
I roll my eyes. She is, but you know her. She'll say she is still resting, just doing it outside. Kia smiles.
True.
The phone starts ringing at the desk behind her, and she walks away, closing the door in her wake. I click out of my email and stand up, stretching out these tense muscles. Walking past the mirror on my wall, I stop and catch my reflection, noting a few more specks of salt popping up in my beard against a freshly faded haircut. I look like a man who has lived a lot of lives, but finally found the right one at 42. I leave my office to search the grounds for Jada. I knew it wouldn't be hard to find her. I brought her to Limon, Costa Rica weeks after we got married, and she fell completely in love. It just so happened that while we were visiting, I met a Canadian guy who was selling his beachfront hotel. We talked while drinking, and at first, I thought nothing of it. Then he invited Jada and me over, while I was extremely impressed with the location and the upkeep of the 80-room property. Not too small, but not too big. Jada was absolutely floored by it.
Can we afford it?
She'd asked, holding my hand tightly as we walked on the beach of the property. Yes, baby. Are you sure you want to be here, though? Think about Ari in school.
I have a school I want us to tour tomorrow. It has an IB program, highly ranked. Dual language lessons, students from various countries.
I just smiled at her. Okay, we've been here ever since. Jada completed the remaining courses online for her MBA in healthcare management, and she graduated from the University of Miami 6 months ago. She said once our twins make it past the toddler stage, she wants to open her own wellness spa right here. This new, slower pace of life was still taking my girl some getting used to. She wasn't built to just sit idle. She had to find herself something to do, some kind of purpose to chase. Scanning the shoreline, I spot her sitting in the sand with the tide washing up over her feet and legs. She's wearing a bright yellow bikini. She's about 80 pounds heavier than usual. Her belly is round as the sun and glistening under the heat. Her hair is pressed straight, falling past her shoulders to the middle of her back. I remind her daily that she is the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. I walk up quietly behind her. Thought you were staying in bed today. She looks up at me, squinting against the light, and smiles.
Nope. I'm 36 weeks today. We made it full term. I'm evicting your sons as of right now.
I look down, watching her belly roll as the boys move around inside of her, and I just stare. A woman's body will always completely fascinate me. Every single night, I kiss her stomach and thank her for sacrificing her mind and her body to grow our sons. My boys are hot. That's why they are kicking the shit out of you. Reaching my hand down to her. Come on, baby. She rolls her eyes but takes my grip anyway. I pull my baby up to her feet, bringing her close so I can kiss her absolute least favorite part of her body, which happens to be my favorite, her pudgy nose.
Fine, I will take a break, but I'm coming back out here.
She murmurs, leaning into me.
I haven't had any contractions in 2 days.
Ocean water is not going to give you contractions. If you want contractions, you could have just asked if I was hungry. Your orgasm will release oxytocin. She arches her eyebrows, a beautiful knowing smile spreading across her face. She should know better than to be surprised that I know that. You would think I went to midwifery school myself, with as much as I studied pregnancy and labor after she first confirmed she was pregnant.
Well, are you hungry?
I blink at her, making a face like she just asked the stupidest question ever, always. She giggles, the sound cutting through the breeze.
Well, let Mama feed you.
She grabs my hand, locking her fingers in mine, and we take a slow, easy stroll back toward our ranch home, sitting right behind the resort.
I love you.
Come on, man. Don't do that. Don't judge a book by its cover.
No, thank you. I'm good.
Are you okay?
No. You don't know me. I can't be controlled.
And what you don't know about me is I don't play. Get your shit. Let's live out one of your fantasies right here. Sit your pretty ass on that seat.
Girl, damn, shit. What is he doing to you?
What do you want from me?
I want you to stop fighting me.
I don't know, y'all. I just can't come up off him.